Today I'd like to sit down and talk about Project Zomboid, one of the most popular and loved zombie survival games, and some even consider it to be the best zombie survival game. So I wanted to take a step back and look at this game and compare it to other similar games to see if it really is the best. So to start off, I wanted to talk about what Zomboid does really well. The first and most important thing is the zombies. Obviously in a zombie survival game, zombies are the most important aspect, and Project Zomboid has perfect zombies. Every single zombie is a threat. All it takes is one bite from a single zombie and you are done. There's nothing you can do but wait for the infection to slowly kill you, and that's scary enough. But there are thousands of these guys spread across this massive open world, and each and every one of them can kill you with one bite, turning this game from a goofy zombie fighting game with some weird ass looking raccoon to a deadly, realistic, gritty survival game that takes countless hours to master. In most games you can get smacked around countless times and be perfectly fine, but here all it takes is one wrong move and your entire playthrough is over. And that alone makes the zombies in this game great, but what I really love about the zombies is that they do things without the player being involved. In most zombie games, the zombies just sit around waiting for the player to come through so they can start attacking, but in Project Zomboid they gather into groups, follow distant screams and gunshots, and even migrate around the map. This makes the zombies feel like actual creatures instead of just opponents the game throws at you, and I've never seen another game really do something like this. And another thing that Zomboid does really well that I don't see other games do is the small attentions to detail. If you get sick, you start sneezing, which attracts zombies to the noise. If you trip, you can scrape your knee and you need to disinfect it so it doesn't get infected, and you need to change out the bandages when they get dirty and clean the dirty ones. You can drink a bottle of alcohol and use the empty bottle to hold water. When you break windows, you need to remove the broken glass or else you'll cut your hands, and if you don't wear shoes, you'll get cuts on your feet from running around. These little details really make the game feel like real life, and the only other zombie game I've really seen put this much attention to the details is Dayz. All these little things make the world feel real, and it's really what caught my eye when I first started playing. This game takes a simple concept, survive the zombie apocalypse, and makes it a pretty much impossible challenge. When you first play this game you might think it's very simple, but when you get into your first world and walk outside, you realize that this is some tough shit. Fighting one or two zombies is already challenging enough, but when you realize that there are hundreds of these deadly enemies all around, you start to truly figure out what this game is about, lasting as long as you can until you eventually die. Death is something you'll experience quite often in this game, and the game lets you know that. Zomboid is a very hard game, with a very steep learning curve. Learning how to fight and maneuver in this isometric view is already hard enough, but the thing is, Zomboid doesn't let you get used to it. The second you spawn in, you're in danger. There are no safe zones, there's nowhere to run, and there's nowhere to hide. You are thrown into the apocalypse with nothing and no one. From this point forward, you will have to work for every single minute of survival. This is something that a lot of people enjoy about the game, but I can see it's also why many people stop playing. It's brutal. The game doesn't give you anything, it's trial and error. I estimate that within the first hour of gameplay, the average player will die at least 5 times, and for many people the challenge excites them and makes them want to keep improving, but for others it may make them say, fuck this, I'm going back to Sims 4. But another thing that Zomboid does perfectly that a lot of people don't realize is the infinite customization. You can make this game as hard or as easy as you want it to be. There are so many settings I don't even know what half of them do, and playing this game is literally my main source of income, so you can tell that there's a lot of stuff. You can change how many zombies there are, how strong they are, how quickly you level up, how much loot there is, and so much more. If it's an aspect of the game, you can most likely change it. Not many other games have this level of customization, and I think newer players don't really appreciate the amount of stuff that they can change to make the game easier for them. And hell, you can even make the game harder if you're a weirdo. I can't imagine trying to make this game any more difficult, but hey, that's the beauty of it. Alright, so I've been sucking off this game pretty hard for the last few minutes to the point where you might think I'm sponsored or something, but don't worry, I'm about to talk some mad shit about this game in a second. But first I want to take this time to point a gun to your head and say, hey, you should definitely subscribe. I play Zomboid and sometimes some other games, so I think it might be worth your while. But now, let's get into the trash talk. So what don't I like about this game? Well, this is something I myself believe and something I've seen other people say. This game gets kind of boring after the first few weeks. Now don't get me wrong, there's a lot to do and a lot of replayability, but once you get some weapons, loot some food, get a water source, and have a well-protected base, there really isn't anything to do. On average, I would say after 2 or 3 in-game weeks, you're most likely going to be in a pretty good spot when it comes to your ability to survive. Many new players don't have the ability to survive longer than a week or two, so they either stop playing or they continue to improve until they can survive up to the 3rd week. But when you get to this point, you're kind of just sitting there like, okay, now what? Yeah, you can keep looting and keep expanding your base, but why? There really is no end goal. Now, I'm not saying the game should have a set story and objective. What makes the game good is the ability to do whatever you want, but there needs to be a little more. In 7 Days to Die, you spend the week preparing for Horde Night, and after the Horde comes, you rebuild what it destroyed and restock your supplies. In Dayz, you're constantly striving for more loot and are always looking out for other players to fight or befriend. But in Zomboid, you may feel like you don't really know what to do next. Multiplayer being added did help with this a little bit, because of other players there's obviously a lot more to experience. But the multiplayer is new, and there really aren't any servers with a constant player base like what Dayz has. So how can Zomboid fix this issue? Well, they already are. The next major updates coming to Project Zomboid are going to be focusing on NPCs. First, animals will be joining the game, which will not only add a whole new aspect to the game, but will also make it feel a lot more lived in. Currently in the game, it's just you and the zombies, which makes the world feel empty at times. The devs try and fix this by adding distant screams or gunshots, but these are just noises that don't really do anything besides draw zombies in a certain direction. But after the animal NPCs are added, the next major update will be human NPCs, and I cannot stress enough how important this update will be for Project Zomboid. Adding multiplayer skyrocketed rocketed this game to new heights, and I believe human NPCs will do the same thing. If they do this right, this game will without a doubt in my mind become the best zombie survival game ever made. The one major issue this game currently has is the boredom that sets in after the first few weeks, where you get set up and you have pretty much everything you need, so you don't really know what to do next. But with NPCs, you'll be able to play this game for an infinite amount of time and never get bored. What makes Dayz so good is the interactions you have with people. The Zomboid multiplayer is good, but it isn't anywhere near the level of Dayz's multiplayer, and I don't think it ever will be. But it won't need to be if you have NPCs. Having all these other humans running around, surviving, looting, forming groups, killing zombies, and interacting with the player will make Zomboid so much more enjoyable. Maybe your base gets raided by other people, maybe you try to go out and save as many people as you can and form a massive group of your own, or maybe you go out and kill other survivors to try and get what they have. The possibilities are endless and the replayability will be endless. No longer will players get bored after a few weeks because there will be so many interactions and experiences that the player can still have. No matter how long you've survived and how much you've done, there will still be new things to see and find out there. So this update could change everything for Project Zomboid. But as of right now, the game is magnificent. The pros for the game definitely outweigh the cons, and I truly believe this is one of the best zombie survival games out there, but it isn't the best. There is still a lot that needs to be added before this game can be the best, and I do believe that NPCs are that missing piece. For some people, this game already is the best, and they don't need NPCs to be added. Some people don't get bored and can play this game for countless hours, and that's great, but I feel like for a lot of people, this game does feel repetitive after a while. But that doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that it needs a little more. If I had to score this game, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I can confidently say that when NPCs do get added, the score will change to a 10 out of 10, and this game will become the best game I've ever seen. So no, this isn't the best game, but it does have the highest potential out of any game out right now. But I would love to hear what you guys think. So comment down below how you feel about the game, and let me know how you'd want to improve it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.